dead cat. She's inside of Owen right now.
Is there a correlation between oil and interest rates? Let's go into it a little bit deeper. This is a historical 30-year mortgage rates. And everybody's complaining that rates got high. Yes, we went unseasonably high for a little bit because we're so used to it being down to 2.5%, 3%, which is no longer happening because we're not in COVID anymore. Okay. Because of what happened in COVID, rates went down unnaturally too low, and it caused artificial inflation of most everything from eggs to toilet paper to fast food to cars to houses. It's normal for us to see prices naturally go back down. We were paying $14, $16 a dozen or a half a whatever for eggs, and now they're coming down. Gas is going up because we're in the middle of a war right now, but before the Iran war started, people were kind of going, yeah, this is awesome. Gas is cheap. Fast food businesses are going out of business because they artificially inflated their cost for a hamburger or what have you, and people stopped going. And they said, this costs the same thing for me to eat a hamburger at BJ's or Lazy Dog or wherever. I'm just going to go there and I'm going to enjoy the atmosphere instead of having to unwrap a sweaty burger. Let's go back into this. Crude oil, which is coming down today, it's down at 88 instead of the 110 that it was last month. We're going to see prices come down a little bit, right? But because of the artificial war, prices went up a little bit. So now that we're easing out of it, we're coming back. And this is the 50-year chart for crude oil. Here's the historical chart, and this basically the same thing. Yeah, just I think this is 50. I don't know why they're different, but they are. This is a historical chart, and now we're up to 100. Well, this was 100 back in April 2026, which if you go back here, we did see it at 100, right? April 6th. Now it's coming back down to 84, and it's going to chop back up, but I think we're going to continue to see it go back down. A healthy market is between here and here, right? I'm not an economist. That's what I'm saying. That's where we want to be. And we just need to come down a little bit more and we'll be happy again. Yeah, I might not know what I'm talking about, but I do know that I can read a chart fairly easily. There we go. This is it right here. This is what I wanted right here. I lost it for some reason. So we're seeing it go creep back up after 2020 because it was artificially low. We don't like that because when change happens and it hurts us because of inflation, we tend to start slowing things down. Let's go back to the rates here, right? Prices went up, but they were also pretty daggum low. So here's your 20-year. Here's 2020 right here, right? And even the price of oil went down in 2020. Why? Because nobody was using oil. Oil started slowing down because people weren't driving to work. Everybody stayed at home, kind of like what I do right here, right? But then prices bulked back up. Everybody freaked out. 2022 happened. Then now we're in the middle of the war and we're seeing mortgage rates come down. We're at 6.52. People don't like being above 6.52. For a couple of days, when it went down to 5.99, everybody started buying houses. Remember yesterday I showed you we had this big, huge bump of new homes being sold. And it was perfect timing. And then people rushed to go to market and then rates went up. And now we're seeing prices dwindle and sit. And that's normal. But does it have anything to do with any correlation to prices going up for crude oil? Yes and no. Prices go up in oil because they're trying to stave off inflation. It's the same thing with mortgage rates, right? It's all has to do with all that. But it also has to do with consumer confidence, the fact that they're buying product and they're actually going to work, and the fact that there is. Now, earlier this week, I was saying that prices are tending to stagnate for homes. Home sales are stagnating because people are fearing loss of their jobs potentially. It's still kind of happening, but it could happen. And there's no true disparate actual correlation. They are indirectly connected to the market, right? Everything is connected. The healthcare industry, credit card, tech, aerospace, everything, it all gets connected. So when you see the price of oil go up, you're going to see a lot of other things go up to slow down the economy and put brakes on it. Seller was dishonest on seller disclosure. What do? Well, I can tell you what you can do. You can talk to your broker, your agent, and say this I don't think this was disclosed properly. What are my options? And the first thing a broker is going to do is say, I don't give legal advice. I can't tell you legally what to do. But since we worked on this together, let's go figure it out together. Let's go talk to a lawyer. Let's go talk to a contractor. Let's go talk to the inspector. Let's go talk to the permit department and figure out what's going on before we make a big to-do about it, right? This person said they bought a house for $255,000 in Georgia, and it was flipped and had been previously involved in some pretty serious fire. Now, everybody has their opinion. I'm not a permit department. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving legal advice. What I'm saying is the advice I'm telling you is educate yourself on what the truth is based on everybody else's expertise. I said, go talk to a contractor, the permit department, the inspector. Let's go do that. It's my job to make sure you're aware of what's going on. Yeah, my job is to make sure you understand what you're buying or what you're selling as well. And do flippers tend to tuck things under the rug when they're selling houses? Yeah, for the most part. Not everybody, generally speaking, yeah, they're going to do that because they're not going to fix every nook and cranny, everything that they know about in the house. This argument that they're saying is that they didn't pull permits on certain things, like they redid the bathroom that was burned. They did the kitchen that was burned down. They did all this stuff. And then down here, a contractor was saying, one person's flipping out. Did you not check the permits prior to closing? Yeah, you always check permits prior to closing. Is it the listing agent or the seller's job to give those to you? They could, but they could also be hiding stuff. So a good buyer's agent would go in and say, hey, let's go and find out what permits were pulled and which ones were completed. And if there's anything red tag that you need to know about, that's called the due diligence period. And that's what a buyer's agent is supposed to do. If you're a listing agent, it's not responsible for doing that because they can make a mistake. So it's the buyer's responsibility to do that during the due diligence period, right? They 100% misrepresented that. Okay, maybe so, but here's the thing, right? A couple of days ago, we talked about redoing a bathroom. Does it need to have a permit? Depends. If you're putting a countertop and sinks, and you're putting a new countertop and sinks and faucets, do you need a permit? Some jurisdictions will say yes, some will say no. Okay, I'm a broker in GC. A building permit may not have been required for the things you mentioned. Generally speaking, if you're replacing something like a light socket or a light, some jurisdictions would require a permit, some don't. Even if you gut a home down to the studs, you may be chasing a dead end. How can you find out? Go to the building department, meet with the inspector liaison, not their job title, but their job function. Let them know that the home was a flip. They will look at the permits and tell you if there was an issue. And then they're going to tell you what their point of view is, right? If you're in San Jose, they're going to tell you, yes, we want you to do a permit for everything, including tying your shoes, pulling a tree out of the yard. Then we want everything, right? It's a for-profit part of the government. Different jurisdictions will give you different answers. You go to Sunnyvale, Saratoga, Cupertino, it might be different, right? Plumbing items, redid electrical structure. Yeah, here's the thing, right? If there was a fire and it burned the electrical conduit or the Romex, I would replace the Romex. Are you replacing it? Are you improving it? Are you remodeling it? Are you shifting different things? You're just pulling out the old and putting in the new? Does that require a permit? It depends on your jurisdiction, right? They only check for open permits. Now, everybody has, and if you want to read all these articles, that's great. I think this is a great article, but here's the bottom line, and this is not legal advice. If you're a buyer and you feel you got duped by the seller because he did not disclose something, what is the bottom line? The seller can say, well, if you don't like it, I can always take the house back, or the judge or arbitrator might say, here's a fine for not doing this or disclosing it. They might fine for judgment, but then how do you get that money back from them? I had a friend who bought a house in New Braunfels, Texas. After I sold their house, they moved to Texas and they bought a house where the seller knowingly had foundation issues, so much so that he hid the crack in the walls and the ceilings, and they weren't settling issues. They had inspections done, and the buyer's agent had inspections done, and it wasn't caught until after the close. And then the house started shifting again because it wasn't done properly, and the house had to be destroyed, taken down. On the buyers, on my friends' cost, what are the legal remedies? Well, you got to go talk to a lawyer, but generally speaking, you could go and sue the seller for not disclosing that. But the onus is on you to be able to prove in a court of law again, not advice, that the seller knew that the foundation had issues, or that in this case, that stuff was done without a permit. I mean, if he tells you specifically the house was burned down, I had to replace the kitchen, the bathrooms, the floors, the windows, the light bulbs, and everything else, and he did disclose it, but not the way you like, yeah, you might not have a case, but that's totally up to you to decide to do that. And that's outside the realm of the real estate agent, right? Again, this is not advice, right? Georgia's caveat emptor states, since the property was sold as is, it may be difficult. Here's your challenges. Sellers have to disclose known defects. And here we call it material facts. But you have to prove that the seller knew the shower was leaking. The seller could argue that they hired a contractor and assumed permits were pulled. You would have to prove that they knew the contractors weren't actually acting lawfully. Permit records. The bottom line is, if you're a seller, disclose it. And I tell my sellers this all the time. I would rather scare away a mamby-pamby, afraid of his own ghost buyer because you disclosed that there was something wrong with the house. Whatever it is, a broken window, somebody threw a rock at your window and it broke, or somebody broke into your house, or what have you. Disclose it. What do you got to lose? Peace of mind. If you don't disclose it, just keep in mind, always disclose. You know, in real estate, we always say the truth is disclose, because all you're asking for is just a heap of trouble. And last year I fired a seller because one, he was delusional about the price and the condition of the house, but he also just decided he didn't want to disclose certain things. And now that house is in contract, and I hope that buyer realizes what they're doing. Good luck to them. 90 days on market. This is Bonita, España. I have a listing coming up over here when the market gets better. But this one's been on market for 137 days. Why? Started off $1.4 million at 1.45. Now it's down to 1.43. It's on Avenida España, which is a filter street. It's not a busy street, but what's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with this house other than the market's kind of dropping, right? Now, when I'm saying that the houses on the east side of 17 and 87, they're kind of slowing down, right? Everything on the west side, they're going no problem. So just keep that in mind. This is awesome. I love this big pergola. This is an outdoor enjoyment house. This is awesome. The colors are a little dated. The cabinets are a little dated, but nothing a paint job couldn't handle. This is a good price. I'm not a big fan of the wallpaper. That's nice. That is awesome. I love the party lights everywhere. Yeah, nice. But they didn't do a floor plan. So shame on you. Okay. Bank owned of the week. This is Via del Sol, not my listing. Just came on market for $628,000. Standard ranch house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square feet, built in 1970 on 1.41 acres in Santa Cruz. Actually, Corralitos, which is near Watsonville. But this is a great buy, guys. You could be in the fair plan area, but understand that this is a great price for this house. This one's going to sell fast. I don't care what it looks like in cyclists. Could be studs. Now look, that's nice. There's nothing. $600,000 for this? Man, that is nice. I'm going to go take a look at it. If you're interested, let me know. Then we can compete. Prices are 6.5% right now. But look, guys, I'm telling you, we'll talk about this tomorrow. 5.62. You can drop it. Look, put a point towards your loan and see what it does. You're going to be below 5.5%, right? I know it sucks, but it is what it is right now. And then here, nothing really to worry about. Here, 40 days on market, kind of chopping up a little bit, but that's absolutely normal, right? That's normal for that to happen, especially when you have high rates and wars going on. Same thing here with San Jose weekly homes for sale. You're seeing inventory hit the market. We're at 1,400 right now, right? 1,400 homes actively for sale right now, which is good. We need to be at 2,000 to be a buyer's market, to be a balanced market. Santa Clara County is doing the same thing. We're seeing prices or inventory come on up because we're going into the selling season now. We just need rates to come down. And I would love to see that. The minute you see